Good. I thank you. Right, we'll have a word of prayer.
Yes, sir.
Let us pray.
Are you praying, sir?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Gracious God, we give you thanks for this moment that we can meet as brothers to share in your words. We want to give you thanks, God, for the preservation of your words so that we can have it to really share. We ask, God, that you will open our minds, that we will be able to receive your truth. We ask, God, that you will give us wisdom to be able to take that which is really necessary for us so we can apply it to our lives and share it with others. Continue, God, to bless Brother Sulin's family, bless my family, bless the families throughout this world. And as we embark this study in major prophet, and in particular Ezekiel, we pray, God, that the language that is spoken there, the apocalyptic literature that is there, that we will be able to understand it so we can apply it not only to our lives, but to the church in general and into the world. Guide us, Father, through Christ's gracious name we pray. Amen. Okay. Well, I'm going to have you to get those recap. You know, you have two pieces of outline now. I
Yes,
hope,
sir.
and you know, we'll be able to go on. And we don't have anyone else joining with us in this class, do we? No.
No, I don't think so. Roy won't be here.
Okay. All right. So, you know, we did some things last week, and you know, looking at Ezekiel, and I know the outline you have, original outline that you gained from Brother Richard, I think. Look at the background of the book, you know, the historical background. That's the original outline that you got from Brother Richard, right?
Well, I got one from Brother Tito.
Tito, okay.
Yes, sir.
And it's really a scanty outline.
Yes.
That actually tells of the background, historical background, some part of the social and religious background. And the man Ezekiel. We might just run through that, then we go back and recap what we did last week. All right?
Yes, sir.
So we can be in line. So from the background, you know, background for the book, the historical background, Jeremiah began his work about 627 BC. Nineveh, capital at that time, was Assyria, and it fell in 612
Yes, sir.
BC. Josiah died, and a period of confusion began. Daniel was among the captives taken by the Babylonians in about 605, 606 BC, somewhere there.
Yes, sir.
About 8 years later, Ezekiel was taken captive along with King Joachim, 597 BC. Then we have Zedekiah became king, but rebelled against Nebuchadnezzar. Then we have an next piece, 11 years later, that would run about 586 somewhere BC. The Babylonian dealt a crushing blow to Jerusalem. So all of this would be now
Your mic is muted, sir. Hello, sir. Your mic is muted. What a good. Your mic is muted. I'm not hearing you, sir. I was not hearing you, sir. Your mic was muted.
Yes. All right. We're back again.
Okay, sir.
Oops. So we were right there and we talk about the 11 years and then we were about to go on to the social background. I think that's where we got cut off. The cream of the people and the treasure were in Babylon. So when the captives were taken, what the Babylonians did was to take the brightest set of persons and the richest set of persons from Jerusalem, from Judah. You're following me? Brother Solon?
Oh, I was saying yes, but my mic was muted. Sorry.
I'm wondering what's happening to our mics today. All right. So when the Babylonians, I was saying, you know, talking about the social background, when the Babylonians actually capture Jerusalem and, you know, Judah in general, what they did was to take the best set of persons, the brightest set of persons, the richest set of persons, and the best jewelry and all of that, and they took it. And that's a part of war.
Yes, sir.
You know, that's the main reason you find that the three Hebrew men that we talk about, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were so bright and sharp, so the king actually incorporated them in his kingdom.
Yes, sir.
And some of them rise to be advisors and great administrators in various areas. So they took the best of the crop. And I know that the French were trying to do that in Haiti.
Yes, sir.
They actually did, the British did a part of that year. They took the best of everything that we have and carried them back into Britain and the other European nations. And that's a part of war. That's exactly what Putin trying to do now to that country that they are invading, getting the best. All right?
Yes, sir.
Socially, the cream of the people, they were in Babylon. They were taken there and all the treasures. The land was fairly fertile, but the wealth was gone. So it's just like your place now, Haiti is fertile, but the wealth is taken away.
Yes, sir.
I hope you get what I'm saying. And
Yes,
the
sir.
brightest set of persons either migrate or were taken away.
Yes, sir.
So it cannot be, I should say, it is not as prosperous as it could have been.
Yes, sir.
And then how it is set up now is that people are set against each other. So they kill each other. They do all of this, and a similar type of thing happening here, and that way you can't make progress because you need a unified front to be able to prosper. Once you have division, you're gonna have what? Trouble, lack of growth.
Yes, sir.
Then you have injustice and pride are still much in evidence. So all of that didn't change in spite of the invasion, in spite of God allowing the Babylonians, because God allowed them. If God doesn't allow them, they couldn't invade. The injustice that we would have read about with the minor prophets and so forth and other prophets were still there in evidence. Then the weak and the dependent were left. So they could not make as much decisions. So socially, the place was in a shaken, weak position. Hope you are following me.
Yes, sir. I have the outline with me.
I know we are running, but we are a little bit behind. Religious background. What was happening there religiously? A strong Egyptian or African party urged aid from Pharaoh. And that's going to be trouble.
Yes, sir.
Because once you start to get aid from particular country, they want you to actually adopt their religious principles. It's like the world now wants the Caribbean to adopt homosexuality.
Yes, sir.
And if you'll get close, you'll hear they saying that this is what, and if that, they're not going to send certain aids, or they're not going to do this and all of that.
Yes, sir. That's true.
So the Egyptians, they had their gods, their bulls and their rams and all of that. They had their gods there, and once you link with them, then that is it. So you have false prophet were in the mix. False prophet taught an early return to the promised land. God described his people as hard-headed and imprudent. So they were stubborn people at that time. And that sounds like most of the nations now. But I know that is true of Jamaica. That we are a set of hard-headed people. tough-headed, so the progress that we should have made years ago, we have made it because of our stubbornness and selfishness.
Yes, sir.
So that progress isn't there. Then they remember God's promises, but forget his condition. They know that God said he's gonna do this, he's gonna do, but the provision and
Yes,
condition isn't there. You're not gonna be blessed disobeying me. That's God's saying. There's a condition.
yes, sir.
God expects that you obey me. And in fact, that was stated, and just running quickly back in Deuteronomy. It actually talk about, I think it's a lot of part of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, about 34 or something like that, or 30, between 30 and 34, where it says, these are the blessings and cursings. If you obey me, then these are the blessings that will come. If you disobey, these are the curses. Somewhere there.
Deuteronomy 30 and Numbers 28.
All right. 30 and verse 28, right?
I believe the whole chapter.
All right, but the whole thing goes back, and more than one chapter that actually tells about, the punishment, the type of ailments and all of that will take place. So that was the condition they forget. About the man, and I know it's a mad rush. A mad rush, but you have it there. About the man Ezekiel. We touched a little on this.
Yes, sir.
We said that he was the son of Buzri, of the tribe of Zodok. So he was both a prophet and a
priest.
Not a whole lot of persons both prophet and priest.
No, sir.
But he was both prophet and priest, and that tells you that it was an awesome responsibility that he had, and he was chosen because God would have seen the potential that is within him. Though the people would not listen then, his influence has been enormous over the years, because, they make joke of him also, they wouldn't listen. And a part of the text, God said they wouldn't listen, don't.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. They like hearing him speak, but they are not doing.
That is it. That is it. And you can say it again for it to be clearer. You can repeat it.
Yes, sir. I'm saying that they love hearing him speaking, maybe because he was eloquent, I'm not sure, but they were not listening as to be doing what he was asking them to do.
No application. That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Then, with the aid of the Spirit, and I want to emphasize this, with the aid of the Spirit, he has a vivid and powerful imagination. All right, this is how the visions that came across,
yes, sir,
were so powerful. And even though sometimes we can't fully understand all of the visions, at the appropriate time we'll try to get to some of them to look. But you have to have a vivid imagination. It's just like in the world today, there are some preachers that are very good with illustrations, with stories. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They can paint a picture. Brother Walker, A. Walker, you'd have met him, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. He was one with a vivid imagination. Brother Michael Dunbar has a vivid, and I can say it behind him, in front of him, a vivid imagination. And he knows how to choose the right story, right illustration to bring across his point. He's very good at that, and I admire him for that.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Ezekiel had that powerful imagination. Then he lived 5 years among the captives without prophesying. And that is something. He lived there, so he was able to actually, watch and see and observe.
Yes, sir.
Like you're here roughly now, what, 3 years plus?
Yes, sir. 3 years.
All right. So by this, you would have observed and understand most Jamaicans, eh?
Yes, sir.
You'd have gotten the idea that some are like this and some like that. Within school now, you'd have John conclusion and the point of some things that your fellow student like and some that they don't really like.
Yes, sir.
You would have drawn the conclusion about teachers, how they are,
Yes, sir.
You'd have done that. So while Ezekiel was there, he was being groomed, he was being educated, not being the speaker, but
yes,
the listener, the learner of the cultural norm that was there. Because you have to remember, although they were not too far, because Israel, Judah was like a crossroad between the great powers of Babylon and Egypt, Africa. You hear with me? And they had to
yes,
pass through here. Yet, when you live in the community with the people, it's a different situation.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I have been around Caribbean people for many, many years. And there are all a difference between Haiti and Trinidad. A lot of difference between the Lucians and the Vincentians. The Antiguans and the Bahamians are, let's say, Barbados. Get it back right in the groove.
Yes, sir.
A lot of difference. So you have to be able to deal with it. So he was there and didn't say anything, didn't prophesy for five years.
Yes.
When God finally called, he sits where he sat for 7 days before giving a message. Wow. And I hope you're reading the book, and that's a part of your assignment, to read through the book. You know that?
Yes, sir. I plan to. I don't start yet.
All right. But 7 days after God finally calling, he sit where he sat before giving a message. So the message was given, and he kept it pondering on it for 7 days before giving it. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Then he speak with all the authority, and I want you to get this. All the authority of God in a most dramatic and powerful declaration. you know, it's not the best illustration, but it's like when you'd have been asked by a congregation to speak, and they ask you a month in advance, huh?
Yes,
And
sir.
you'd have spent 4 weeks preparing it. But when 2 or 3 days before the occasion, you keep quiet. Well, I do that. I keep quiet and draw myself aside and look at it again and again. But when the occasion comes, you just have to spill it out,
Yes, sir.
whether they like it or not. You know, that is when you know that it is fully backed by what the word says.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Ezekiel actually reached that point of waiting and settling and reviving, you know, and thinking, you know, inspecting the lesson that was given to him to be dispensed. And when he let it forth, it was not able to be tamed by anyone, could not hold back. So he did that in a powerful way. Okay, quickly, and I will soon give you a little break because we have had some discrepancy in between.
Yes, sir.
The pardon. Sorry.
Yes, sir. No problem.
All right, the mission of the the mission of Ezekiel, the mission of this prophet was to destroy false hope of an early return. Because the false prophets were saying Israel going to return in an early, quick time. So that was one of his job now to destroy that. And it's not an easy thing to destroy, don't?
Yes, sir.
We'll see that when we start to read the book and look at the detail. But we'll fix it. A
Yes,
part
sir.
of his mission was to interpret the meaning and purpose of the exile. Why this exile? Why this captivity?
Yes, sir.
Why this bondage? 3 was to preserve the teaching of
Jehovah.
Jehovah. And some of the lessons that we are going to learn from the book, you have that section.
Yes, sir.
All right, some of the lessons that we are going to learn from the book.
God knows.
God, you could go ahead. Lesson 1.
Yes, sir. God knows better than we, or our chastisement could or should occur.
All right, and that is it. God knows better than we how our chastisement should occur. That is like a mother, a father, and a child alone.
Yes, sir.
You know, I don't know if you had gotten any whipping at home.
I did.
You don't look like you would have gotten any. I got a whole lot.
I did.
And sometimes you think that mommy and daddy don't like you, don't?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but they are doing it for your good and my good. And, you know, we can look back now and say, thank God we got those whipping our heads. We might be in prison or maybe we'll be dead.
Yes, sir.
Then the next lesson we're going to learn when we get into the book is that every man must bear the responsibility for his own sin. Whoops. Every man must bear the responsibility for his own sin. In the next lesson we're going to learn, and I want you to keep this in your head as we read through the book and go various sections, is that if the watchman does not warn, he shall die for his neglect.
Yes, sir.
We're going to learn that.
Yes, sir. I
You
think
see-
that's why it says, let not many of you become preachers.
Yes. Yes. If you see false teaching going on and you keep your mouth shut, then you are going to pay for that.
Yes, sir.
It's best you say what you need to say and let them hate and despise you.
Yes, sir.
But God have you in line. Then impure lives and worship can lead to bondage. And that is exactly what happened to Israel.
Yes, sir.
Impure lives and worship can lead to bondage. Then number 5, those who scatter God's flock will suffer his wrath. That sounds like a sermon you want to preach, don't it?
Yes, sir.
And that will pour out inside here, you know, if the watchman or the shepherd scatter the flock of God, you know, God gonna let you suffer the consequence, eh?
Yes, sir.
Then history is ever moving toward a final victory for God and the gathering of his children around him in the holy city. And this kind of tie in nicely with Revelation, don't?
Yes, sir.
History is ever moving toward a final victory for God and the gathering of his children around him in the holy city. And this is, as I said, similar to what we have seen a part of Revelation, where we talk about the tree of life in the garden of God, you know, in heaven,
Yes, sir.
you know, where all will gather. Revelation talk about elders around the throne of God and all of that. So as we would have said that this book, you know, is a powerful book, and just few books are of the apocalyptic literature like Ezekiel.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, he's one of the book, and Daniel have a good amount of apocalyptic, and Revelation have a lot of apocalyptic literature. I think is Zechariah also, and so we should not take this book lightly.
Yes, sir.
All right, we are going to pause and we'll take a few minutes to pick up. We're going to take roughly, seem like it's going to be 4 and 6. We'll get back here at 11:30.
Okay, sir.
All right, we'll start back at 11:30. So take the 15 minutes to
All
get
right.
in.